This afternoon, I am so delighted. I feel so privileged to be having a conversation with someone I have always admired, especially when it comes to her unique gifts in telling incredible stories. Someone that we met by chance, and then we got to know that we share a lot in common besides our common heritage, besides other historical elements, we share a lot also ideologically in terms of how we see the world and how we frame the world. This afternoon, I am delighted to introduce to all the Story Warrior associates around the world an unsung hero with an untold story. And if you're joining us for the first time, my name is Gideon Fomukwai. I go by the acronym of Story Warrior. Why Story Warrior? Because we try to fight the wars of the world with our stories and not having any bloodshed. But we want to welcome into our space, into our virtual fireside, Madame Michael A. Jacobs. That's her screen name. That's her name. I don't know if I have the permission to reveal your real name. Should I? Or should I just keep
Um,
it to the pen name?
it actually doesn't matter. Is one of two others that I write under. So yeah.
No kidding. No kidding. Okay, so this is Rachel Robinson. That's how I call her. But in the writing world, in the world that she has become very, very famous, she has put a stake in the ground. She's Michael A. Jacob.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael. Welcome. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah. The sun's out, sort of out
Yep,
here.
yep, yep. And this is a virtual fireside in the heart of winter. Tell me, where are you joining from? Is it the great state of Oregon, or are you in Washington or some other
No,
place?
I'm in Oregon. Yeah. About 25 minutes from Portland.
25 minutes from Portland. That's
Yeah.
far enough from the, the cooking pot of Portland, safe enough, and yet not too
Exactly.
close, not too close to the ocean. Stay away from the
Oh no,
Pacific Ocean
no.
because it's too cold at this time. So
A little bit, yes.
okay, okay. This is so cool because we first met in 2016 thereabouts.
Yeah,
There was a
somewhere like
book
that.
fair somewhere in Cannon Beach in
Yes.
near Seaside, and we interacted. Do you still remember anything from that
Oh,
meeting?
I remember a little bit. It got a little windy for a minute, but then it was fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I walked up to your table and I was like, he got so many books. I got only one tiny book.
I think I only had like 4 or
Four
5 at the
only. Don't
time.
say only four. I mean, at that point, I'd written only two, but you went to four thick books that, man, it looked like the American tax diary, or it looked
Oh,
like
come on.
encyclopedia
It was
of Britannica, whatever you call it. It was thick volumes. I mean, intimidated even talking to you. I don't know
oh,
if you realize that.
oh.
So it was a good chance meeting because from then we have stayed in touch. We've done some
Yeah.
other collaborations together, and I feel very blessed about that. But
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. When did you first feel you have an itch in your fingers or in your mind to tell a story or to write a book?
Um, it's strange. I was about 12.
12.
Um,
Wow.
so I would write down dreams I had.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't really like write stories from them yet. I would do like just
Hmm.
I would just write like little snippets of stories, like
Hmm.
little ideas that would go in my head, and I would just kind of write them down, jot them down, and
Wow.
eventually I went to one of the dreams I had, and I was like, "Huh, let me see if I can flesh this out." And
Hmm.
so I kind of did. I didn't finish it.
Hmm.
I didn't finish it until like 25 years later, but I had
Okay.
started
That's
on.
Okay.
that. So,
Very interesting. Around the age of 12, 12, I was still a bedwetter. I was still getting into so much trouble in my village. 12, everybody said I was going to end up in jail. 12, I didn't know that the people could even write their thoughts at 12. So kudos to you. I doff my hat to you. Uh, so the more I learn about you, the more I realize you are truly a phenomenal woman.
oh, thank you.
You are good in the arts, you're good in the sciences. At one point, you dabbled into writing about writing films, you dabbled into accounting, the
Hmm.
world of sciences. You worked with a top technology company from a few years back. So how is it that everything comes so easy to you when some of these things are so challenging to us?
um, I I don't know about it coming easy. I'm just one of those people. I like to learn new things,
Uh,
and if I'm going to learn it, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to just, just kind of get half of it done and just and
mhm.
throw it away. I want to immerse myself in it, and so
Wow,
that's
wow,
that's how it ends up being. This It looks easy on the
yeah.
outside, but I actually put a lot of work into.
Well, it's the people like us who think it's easy. Certainly, it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
Is this something that runs only in your bloodstream, or it runs through your bloodline or heritage from your mom? And uh, is that
Ah, I think, yeah, because yeah, my mom was, I guess you could say she was kind of like a Renaissance type woman. She was one of the few
ah,
women in the tech industry back
uh-huh.
in the like late 70s, early 80s. She went to
Wow,
carpentry school, that kind of stuff.
wow, wow,
She
wow.
knew how to do electrical work, all that.
Uh-huh.
And so,
Yeah.
and I learned, me and my brother, we learned all that, and we ended up in kind of like the same
Mhm.
the same industry.
Yes. Because
So,
I know at one point you worked for one of the top tech companies in Oregon and around the
yeah.
world. Everybody who
Yep.
uses a computer has probably used a little fragment of something that you've touched with your hands or your brain.
Hmm.
I don't know if you still work with them, but that's not important. What's important to me now is that you're able to crisscross many worlds effortlessly, and that probably could be the reason why you excel in all of these things, because you say you immerse yourself very well. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your storytelling
All right.
and what kind of genre you typically write about.
Mostly, I would say 75, 80% of it is sci-fi, and
Sci-fi.
not hard sci-fi. I write soft sci-fi is what they call it, because I'm not an astrophysicist, so if I needed to
You
know about
could be if you
I
want
could,
to.
well, I mean, I dabble a little bit in it, and only because when I write something that
Mm,
is actual science, I want it to be accurate.
I see.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So you're into sci-fi. And tell us, for those who are not very familiar with sci-fi, because I may have some, who knows, maybe some boomers, some Xers, some, who are not very, very
Yeah.
steeped into sci-fi. Tell us, what's sci-fi all about?
Well, there's different kinds of sci-fi. That's the thing. So you have within science fiction,
Hmm.
you have space opera, which
Hmm.
are mostly based like it's on a ship, not on Earth. It's somewhere out in the
Okay.
galaxy somewhere.
Yeah.
Think of like Gardens of the Galaxy. It's a space opera.
Wow.
So is Star Wars. Star Wars is a space opera.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then you have hard sci-fi like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hmm.
Um, Arthur C. Clarke, Heinlein, those guys. Those
Hmm.
are hard sci-fi. There's like big science behind
Hmm.
those.
Okay.
Then you have, science fiction romance.
Okay. Okay. And look like you dabble into that.
No,
Okay, all right.
I
Maybe I'm
don't. I'm not
mistaken.
a romance writer.
I thought you were sci-fi romance.
No.
Okay, okay.
Oh, so
And
that's funny.
what kind of problems do you attempt to solve with your sci-fi uh, genre of writing?
Um, as far as like socially,
Socially,
yeah.
technically?
Yeah, 'cause, well,
Philosophically or morally, spiritually? It's
sorry, excuse me.
okay.
It's kind of hard to explain because I want humanity to look in the mirror,
I see.
see what's wrong,
Mm,
and not just see what's wrong, go like, oh, humanity's doomed, but
mm,
look at it and go, we can fix this.
okay.
So I show the good, the bad, and the ugly, but in the end I want you to see all of it and then go, yeah, you know what, we could probably do better.
Mm.
I didn't have much hope for humanity a few years back. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, oh yeah, we're done. Humanity's going down the toilet, and now I'm just kind of like, I think we can fix it. I think, you know if we can collectively look at our world and
Yeah,
ourselves in the
yeah,
mirror and
yeah.
acknowledge that
Yes.
we messed up. We
Yep.
need to fix it. So,
Yep. Okay. That's really interesting. So it's a very contemplative work in which you help us look back and then look forward to see we're not as messed up as we seem. And that's encouraging because I'm eternally an optimist. For some reason, I always believe tomorrow is better than today. Even if
yeah.
I may have become a member of AARP, beginning to face downhill, but I still always think that tomorrow is a better day than today.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Now, a while back, it appears you developed a superpower with respect to writing. I don't know if
Oh.
you developed it, if it came to you or you went to it. Tell us, what is that superpower in writing that you have, which you've
Uh
continued to harness over the years?
I I don't really consider it like a superpower. I just When I dream big. I dream
Mm,
of whole worlds. I dream of civilizations.
mm,
Um and I take it, I write it down, and then from there I interpret it
mm.
from a because when I dream, and it's this vast thing, and because the universe is vast,
Yes.
I can only interpret it through human eyes, through human
Mm,
perception.
yes.
So I have to interpret it that way,
Mm,
even though it's something that's vast and it's something that, probably isn't understood
yes.
at this place in time.
Hmm.
I have to kind of like bring it back and be like, okay, as far as if a human saw it, if a human experienced it, what
Yes.
would that be like? Because
Mm.
I'm not an other being. Well, I might be.
Yeah,
Who knows? But
yeah. Yeah, you may well be an alien because you can do math, you can do art, you can do science, you can do technology, you can do music, you can do everything, you can do piano, you can do accounting, you can do taxes, you can do
yeah,
taxes. Nobody knows taxes except you. All right. Joking. Okay.
yeah.
So, okay. So this is you're processing these dreams that you have. Is
Mhm.
that what you call lucid dreams, or is there a new name for it? Is there a more sophisticated name for it?
They're still calling it lucid or immersive.
I see.
Yeah, where you're deep in it.
Mhm. And are you a player in your dreams, or you're an observer?
It depends. Most of the time I'm an observer.
Oh, so just sitting here. Hmm.
Yeah.
Or you probably just sitting there with a little more pent up, and you're looking, whoa, this is too tight, this is too hot, this is too crazy. Because I mean, so what is up in your posture? Is it a, or is it a, hmm, or is it?
Yeah, it's more of a, yeah, well, more of an observer. Like I'm far, I'm close to it, but at the same time I can't like interact. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I am like part of the dream, but it's
Mhm.
rare. But
Okay.
usually I see everything going on. I see what's going on through someone's eyes. I don't know
Mhm.
whose, but it's through another lens.
Yeah. Is it 3D or is it 2D or 1D?
I never really thought about it. I really didn't. I mean, it definitely looks it's more realistic.
Okay, almost like
Yeah.
real world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rachel, when you have your dreams, like you mentioned sometime in the past that it's perpetual, it's always going on. Does it tend to be the continuation of the last time when you had good, pleasant sleep and you had that dream? Or does it is always a new scene, always a new scene? And do you
Ah.
and then but first tell us, is it a continuation of the last one or is it always a new scene?
Um, it's random. Sometimes I'll
Okay.
have like a bunch of new scenes afterwards, and then like 2 3 months later, I'll have something that actually relates to something that I dreamt about 3 months ago.
Mm, wow. And
So,
hmm, that's very interesting. Now, so as an artist, as a writer, so you have to filter it, right?
hmm
You get to choose which scene to represent in your books. You get to choose which scene not to represent. How do you weigh which is consumable and which is not consumable for humans? Because for most of us on this side, we're like, whoa, whoa, what is that?
yeah, I do have to filter it a lot. I usually base it on the character first.
I see.
Then I look at the environment the character is in.
Mhm.
And then from there I kind of can pan out.
Mhm.
But at first I want to know whoever the character is, whoever that main
Mhm.
entity is,
Mhm.
what are they thinking? What are they feeling? How are they, moving in their environment?
I see.
That's the first thing. Because how you
Wow.
get to know your character. See,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Insightful. Now, in the last 2, 3, 4 days, can
Mhm.
you share one story or one character from your dreams that really caught your imagination and you're thinking, maybe this one is going to get into one of my books? Now, we've not even talked about your books yet, but just tell me one of those scenes in which what was going on and what were these characters
um
involved with. And then you're thinking, maybe I can use this.
yeah, I did actually. I had a dream actually 3 days ago, I believe,
Mhm.
and it was three friends,
Mhm.
and it was two men and a woman. But for some reason, there was something about their friendship that seemed off,
Mhm.
and it seems like one of the male characters assumed maybe the female character and the other male character were together,
Mhm.
even though that actually I knew that wasn't the case, but this character thought it was,
Mhm.
and he decided to go to this extreme to get rid of the female, but I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if he's getting rid of her because he doesn't want her and the other guy together, or
Because you wanted to go
because
after the guy.
exactly. So I
That's
wasn't
a crazy
sure.
one. That's a crazy one right there.
I was like,
Now, was that on planet Earth or was that in Jupiter? Was that in Mars? I don't
that
know.
was that was here. It was an earthbound one,
Was an
so
Earthbound?
it
Okay,
was an
that's
earthbound
closer
one.
closer to home. Okay, that sounds
Yes,
like something real. Sounds like
exactly.
something that can happen in America.
Yeah, so I wrote it down, and I'm thinking, I can work with that. I can, you
Okay,
know.
very interesting. Very interesting. And I know in most of your books you are talking about science fiction, but that one sounds more like not so much sounds science fiction like, but more like real world
Yeah,
American realities in the 21st century.
yeah. I write some of those.
Okay, okay. So, do you typically write about fiction or nonfiction?
I like to think I kind of write alternate history.
Alternate history.
So I have a lot of like what ifs
Hmm.
in my series. So
So
that
you could look at Renaissance and say, it didn't happen in Europe. It happened in Africa. It happened in Southeast Asia.
right,
That's
yeah.
kind of revisionist perspective, right?
Well, yeah, because it's funny because I've had some people, it's like, well, this book takes place during this era, but this was during a pandemic. I said, well, there was no pandemic in my story.
Mm.
So that's not going to be in there. You
Did
know
you
why?
did you have dreams during the pandemic anyway? Did you have stories coming to you during the pandemic?
Oh yeah.
What
I,
okay, and none of them had any pandemic themes at all. It was all very
yeah,
different. Okay.
right. Yeah, no, none of that.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Who do you see as your primary audience in consuming your materials or what you put out there?
Well, from what I've gleaned from my readers is
Hmm.
they're more in their 30s, 35 and up.
Hmm.
Um, I think because some of the younger generation can't
Hmm.
quite understand where I'm coming from.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because a lot
Very.
of like about 35, that's low end millennial.
Hmm.
And then go up into not quite boomer. There's not many boomer. I don't have many boomer readers, but
Okay.
I got a
Really?
few.
Really?
Got a
They're not
few, yeah.
boomers don't read. Maybe they just
Well, they
drink
do.
bourbon and whiskey and they don't have
Yeah.
time to read.
Well, no, boomers. I mean, they read, but they grew up on. I mean, I was young
TV.
when I came into the a lot of the like the High Lines and the Arthur C. Clarke's and
Hmm.
Asimov's, but that was their generation.
Hmm.
I only learned about it because my grandmother had all those books,
Mm.
and so I read all of that plus Stephen King and Clive Barker and all that kind of stuff. So I had this mixture from my
Hmm.
grandmother who was um not a boomer
Hmm.
before boomer because she was born in 2023,
The
1923.
golden,
So
some people call it the golden generation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
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 Something like
Mm.
that, yeah. Because
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So, how many books have you published so far? I know it's an astounding number, but just say it. Let somebody fall off their seat in shock.
20.
20.
20.
Woohoo! That is incredible work ethic. I don't know how you can find the time. bec- Do you still you work full time, right? You
No, I do a lot of contract work now. I left the billion-dollar tech company a couple of
Mhm.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left that behind.
So when you say you do like consulting work, what is that? What is that in? I am
Um,
assuming it has nothing to do with writing at all.
no.
Okay. So what is
Um,
that?
um, I think one contract I did the document audits for a bank out in California.
Wow.
I did that remotely. I did the all the purchase orders for a manufacturing firm. um, when I did some data entry,
Hmm.
they needed some data entry.
Okay.
Those things like that. And yeah, and um yeah, I'm
Are
trying to.
these are these on topics that you have immersed yourself in? You're familiar with the jargon and all that, or these are just
Yeah,
totally
pretty much.
okay.
Yeah, because I used to be I used to do mortgage funding at Wells Fargo, so that's why
I
I was able
see.
to do the stuff at the bank. And then
Wow.
the purchase orders was for a electronics manufacturing, which I've been in that technology
Hmm.
industry for
Forever.
decades, so
Yeah.
I knew what I was looking at.
Okay, okay. Very interesting. These are all unrelated things. That's what I hope our audience is picking up. That one of your superpowers, whether you acknowledge it or not, is that you have an incredible breadth of expertise in many areas. You write so well. You do accounting. You work in a bank. You work for a top tier technology company. You even design. Talk to us about designing some of the things that you do.
Well, I also went to art school. I majored in film, minored in media.
Besides having done accounting, right?
Right?
Okay. And I know you
Yeah.
were taking an accounting exam yesterday to be a
No, a tax.
professional,
I'm
a
yeah,
tax
I'm in the
accountant or
process of
something.
taking the
Yeah.
Oregon State Board exam, so
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
trying to pass that thing.
Yes. That's what they call in English polyglot. Have you come across that?
Oh, I think I might have heard it, but I didn't know what
Uh,
people meant by it.
Very few and far between. It don't happen every day. That's what they call polyglot. There are a couple of them around. People
Yeah.
like they've talked about Trevor Noah. They talked
Uh-huh.
about
I love Trevor Noah. Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin. Those
Hmm.
are you're in the same category with those crazies because they can touch anything. They're comfortable with it and they can do it. Okay,
Ah,
that's really cool. So, do you ever suffer from writer's block? Something that some of us, I'm still
yeah.
suffering from writer's block now for 5 years, 7 years.
Yeah, I did. I did. There was 8 years where I did not write.
No kidding. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
During
Eight
that
years.
time, were you still having dreams, but you're not able to crystallize them, or
Excuse me.
they were not, the dreams stopped coming?
No, they were still coming, and I would write them down, but I wouldn't
Makes
write
sense.
anything. Um I got discouraged. I was
Mm,
basically not really I didn't have the right people behind me
I
to
see.
encourage me.
Mhm.
And it was more like, "Oh, that writing, that's a hobby thing. You should find a career." And so I almost pretty much got shamed into not writing. And so I
Mm,
focused on
ouch.
working. I
Ouch.
focused on
So somebody tried to shame you out of the most powerful art form in the world, which is storytelling, which can help bring people together. It can help change communities. Somebody almost
yeah,
shamed you out of that, and you've now done 20 books.
in
Tell us
8
about that.
yeah, in like 8,
How did
9
you feel
years.
about that?
Yeah. I didn't I was on the bus, I was on the Max. Well, no, I was on a bus, and this lady, she was typing. It was during NaNoWriMo, which I had no idea what it was. And I asked her what she was doing, and she told me, and I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh," I said, "Oh, I used to write." And something about me even saying that, like, I used to, it's kind of like a sadness of that, like,
Mhm,
oh, um, and I kept it in the back of my head apparently because I didn't think about it, but then the next year,
mhm,
for some reason, I don't know why, it was November 1st, which is the first day of Nano, and I
mhm.
and I was like, "Huh." And I logged in and I looked at it and I was like, "Hmm." And I opened up my dream journal to the last dream I had like the week before, and I started writing.
No kidding.
Just out of
So
the blue.
Nano was your muse. It literally jolted you
Yeah.
out of of your stupor.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was 10 years ago.
Wow. And
Yeah.
since then to now, how many books since Nano
Yeah,
then
20 books since
20
since
books
then.
in 10 years. 2 books per
Mm.
year.
Yeah, I'm
That
trying to do
is
more than that,
incredible.
but it didn't work.
That's incredible. Okay. Now, for those who don't know about Nano, tell us what's Nano because I know it looks like you went there and you did win some awards. Pull up one of
Yeah.
tell us about Nano and then next maybe you can
Uh,
show us one or two of your books.
so NaNoWriMo is what they call it. It's National Novel Writing Month. So it happens every November and it's worldwide. And it's not just people who want to write, it's people like Stephen King
Mhm,
has done Nano.
mhm.
Yeah, a lot of
Big
I think
names.
yeah, big names have they do Nano, which I find kind of interesting. It's like, well, you can write a book in 30 days. That's easy for you guys. you know?
But you write in 6 months. You can write a book in 6 months.
Yeah.
I can write a book in 5 years.
So the premise of Nano is to write an entire novel in 30 days.
Hmm.
So it comes out to 1,667 words a day.
Yeah.
I do 2,000 words a day because
Hmm.
I like round numbers.
And you have a 10-year experience.
Mhm.
That's
I win every
that's
year.
oh, you've been in every year.
Every year I win. Yep.
And when did you win an award at Nano?
In Nano, they have a whole bunch of prizes, which are and all the prizes are um writer related, writing related. So
I know. Mhm.
so
They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So
yeah, they'll have like the membership for Pro Writing Aid, or they'll have free formatting from from like what's that thing called? like Lulu Press or something like that.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's a whole bunch of stuff that, okay, you've written this book, so here's all the stuff that you can do to,
Improve
finish
it.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
make it a book, you know, market it,
Yeah.
what have you, edit
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So all those things, and it's really cool pricing because a lot of this stuff is expensive. I mean, if you were going to do it on your own,
Mhm.
so if you win Nano, I mean, you'll get like either it free or 1 year free, or you'll get like 50% off or
Mhm.
what have you, and you're like, oh great, and you jump on
Mhm.
it.
So when did you win Nano? It looks like you don't like self praise at all. They say some people say self praise is public disgrace, but I don't mind that because hey, we want to encourage other people who are struggling with writing to realize that this is a powerful art form that we can
Yeah,
use in telling stories, in crystallizing our existence, our heritage, and sharing with the world.
yeah.
Because I'm particularly inspired by people of African heritage in all places, diaspora,
Mhm.
who are making something of themselves, notwithstanding the odds.
Yeah.
So tell us, when did you win Nano? And how did you win
uh
it? Because I know it's not easy. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of writers.
well, I just won it just this past November, so
Again? Okay,
yeah.
okay. Tell us about
and
that.
and and like I said, my goal is 2,000 minimum per
Yeah,
day. that's
yeah.
that's my goal. So usually you put 50,000 words as your goal for Nano, because that's, a novel is 50,000 words, so they
Hmm.
say 30 days 50,000 words, that's their
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
So I upped mine to six. Since I was doing 2,000 words a day, I was like 60K, so I upped
Wow.
mine
Yeah, yeah.
to that.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I finished it at 62, I believe, 62,000 words.
Wow.
Yeah, I needed a buffer.
I I respect anyone who can write that much because I know the process of writing is an exacting one. It really stretches your imagination, your ability to connect, to weave, to summarize, the ability to no, no, provide in a way that people want to enjoy it. So
Mhm.
tell us about and congratulations first for winning again this last year. I know you've won many times before. Uh, tell
Thank
us
you.
about uh, your interactions with your readers or love affair with your readers. How they write to you, you write back to them. How do you keep them engaged in a conversation with you?
Oh, well, they like asking questions, which I love, because I say that at the end of my books, I say that at the end of my newsletters, social media. It's like, if you, please ask me questions, please
Hmm.
comment,
Yeah.
you know, tell me if there's something you like, something you don't like,
Hmm.
because I can't fix it if I don't know what's wrong.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I do that, and they ask me a lot about um how I write
Hmm. The process.
society in
Hmm.
general. Actually, I actually had one reader, she said that I write humans very well.
Mm.
I'm not sure what that meant.
Did you disagree? Were you thinking, no, I write more about aliens than
Yeah.
humans?
Well, because of the Curve series, I mean, it's called Curve of Humanity.
Hmm.
So, and it spans about 100 and something years,
Mm.
on Earth. So, and how we interact with aliens
Hmm.
when they do show up. So
Yep.
I was, "Oh, okay, yeah." And class systems, like in the Blood Saga, I
Yeah.
had a reader say, she goes, "I love it. She goes, "I would love it if you would like talk more about the class systems within
Yeah. Wow.
that particular society." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's very interesting because if you have 10 books or 20 books, it's difficult to even keep things, at least for me. I will not be able to tell which one is talking about what. But your recent book is Blood Devotion,
Mhm.
right? What is
Yes.
that about?
So that is book 4 of the Blood Saga.
Uh-huh.
Uh So the Blood Saga, it starts off on it well, kind of starts off on Earth, a alien carnivorous race. They're kind of similar to vampires. They
Hmm.
crash land on Earth in the 18th century,
Hmm.
and so they encounter basically, Victorian type vampires,
Yeah.
and they take over their covens,
Oh.
and they amass a lot of wealth. So by present day, they're kind of like our big billionaires, our big tech people,
Hmm.
you know,
And they're
our
living amongst us
philanthropists, and they're living amongst us, and there's
fluidly. We don't even understand.
there's vampire hunters, but the vampire hunters don't understand why they can't kill all of them off because they don't realize that some of the vampires are actually aliens, and they're not allergic to sunlight.
Well
You don't
disguised.
you don't you can't, stab them in the heart.
Uh-huh.
They don't turn into bats and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that thing. And but then eventually, they go back home. They figure out how to get back home, get back on.
Where's home for them? Is that
Home for them.
Uranus, Jupiter,
No, it's not in our solar
Saturn?
system at all.
They're not even in the solar system.
It's not even our solar system at
Oh my
all.
god. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's outside of it. Um,
Oh man.
yeah.
They must
Well,
travel long distances to get it. Do they fly? Do they
yeah,
crawl? Do they swim?
uh,
How do they get here?
they came in a ship. They were fleeing their home world because their
Oh,
emperor's insane.
they got their own flying objects. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and they crash land, and it's an alternative Earth because they crash land in this zone that I had created. This is even in ancient history, but it's something that happened in the 1500s.
Hmm.
And there's this like huge crater-like area
Hmm.
that humans can't go into because something about the air in it,
Hmm.
it's toxic to humans, but they can dwell in there.
Okay. Wow.
So they crash land there, and it's basically serendipitous because they can build their empire on
Around that.
this
Yeah.
around there on this thing, and they don't have to worry about humans trying to come in.
Yep. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I see some of your books is like blood dissension, blood doctrine, blood dominion, blood devotion, blood. Why is there
Yeah,
so much blood
because it's
spilling,
called the
Rachel?
Blood Saga.
Okay,
It's the
okay,
Blood
okay,
Saga. So
okay,
yeah, so I had to, make it cohesive. It's all themed,
okay. No kidding.
but there's a reason for it because blood doctrine is like, their children who were born on Earth don't really know anything about their home world, and so they have to get educated, so to
Mhm.
speak. So they get indoctrinated
To live with
into
us.
that. Right. And then
Wow.
Dominion, they get fed up with humans, and it was like, well, we should just take this whole thing over. We should just basically like
Mm. Are they impressed with humans or they're not impressed at
they're
all?
not impressed.
Oh, shoot. I'm so sometimes also not impressed, and
Exactly.
I'm one of them. So, so
Yeah.
when there's a title you've written, a purge sequence, is that when now you begin to clean up the place, or what's purge sequence all about?
Per Sequence is book 3 of my Curve of Humanity series.
Hmm.
So the premise of the Curve of Humanity series is that an alien race crash lands on Earth in the 1970s, like a year or two after Roswell is debunked. When it was like,
Hmm.
no, there's no such thing as aliens. No, nope, there's no such thing. Roswell, da da da. And then here comes an alien race. Blam. So,
Mm.
so we end up with hybrid humans, the whole 9 yards, and of course, every sector has their own agenda. The military has their own agenda of what they want to do with these hybrid humans.
Mhm.
Scientists want those, and then you have world leaders have their own ideas.
Mhm. Wow.
And so
Are they trying, like military, trying to recruit them into the army to do
no,
some
they're
special ops for them, or
oh yeah, there's all kinds
trying
of
to recruit them
factions.
to start a new church and all that kind of stuff?
It's all kinds of things that are going on. It's like I
That's
said, everyone's got
crazy.
their own agenda, and so yeah, the military definitely they're trying to get like super
Recruit.
soldiers, the whole 9 yards. you
Wow.
know,
Mhm.
a lot of clandestine meetings
Okay.
going on in there.
Just to
Yeah, and the
negotiate what they could potentially be used for.
yeah, and so the purge sequence, that's when a lot of the factions who basically protect the hybrids are
Mhm.
fed up with
Mhm.
everybody's agendas, and so they try to purge all the bad people out, and at the
Mhm.
same time they remove a lot of the hybrids out of the eyes of society.
Hmm.
They said the only way to protect them is to basically to take them out of society and put them somewhere else where they're safe, and at the same time
Where
get
is
rid of the
that? in space or
No, they built these facilities.
oh my god.
It's yes, it's not a good thing. It's not a nice thing. Like, like I said, I write the good, the
Yeah.
bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. And they built up facilities to house them and okay,
Yeah.
this is very intense. This is very, very intense. But since I'm mindful of time, I just want to ask you what will be the next evolution of you as a writer? Are
Oh
you gonna
man.
go from fiction to non-fiction? Are you gonna stay a little bit on Earth, or are you just gonna continue to be out in space?
I'm branching out a lot. I am going to I'm working on an autobiography. Um
Fantastic. I will.
yeah, I
I'll
am
be the
thinking of
first
an
in line to buy it and read it.
awesome. And I have been branching out. I'm starting to learn how to write urban fantasy, witches, paranormal, mystery. I wrote a mystery. One was a sci-fi mystery, a space mystery. The other one is an actual detective one.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I'm branching out.
Okay. Okay.
I still love my sci-fi. I'm still going to be writing sci-fi, but I'm going to do a lot of short stories
Mhm.
first in other genres, see how they go, and if they
Okay.
go good, then I'll be writing those in
Yeah.
addition to
Yeah.
sci-fi.
The sci-fi.
Yeah.
Do you ever want to tackle real world issues in some of your writing? For example, our messy politics, our career issues, our
Um,
inflation. People are struggling to,
yeah,
get food, medications.
yeah,
We're growing older by the day. People can't
yeah,
lose weight. People are getting too much weight. People are,
yeah. Well, I do.
America,
Yeah.
child, all kinds of issues. Do you want to
Yeah.
focus sometimes on
I
problems
I
on
actually
planet Earth?
do.
Mhm.
I do talk about those. A lot of it
Okay.
in Curve of Humanity. I actually um did 14 videos on YouTube about all the different life lessons
Mm,
that are inside of book 1 of the Curve series cuz I talk about, the government. I talk about, um all our different resources. I talk about human arrogance,
mm,
which apparently some people didn't like that.
mhm.
that I called it that, and I was like, well, that's what it is.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay, very, very interesting. So, to wrap this up,
Mhm.
if someone were to come to you and say, "Hey, Rachel, I'm the story warrior. You are officially Michael A. Jacob, the famous writer. Um, what is one or one or two lessons we can learn from science fiction?"
From science fiction, I think we can learn that we're smarter than we think we are.
Okay.
Humanity's not as bad as we think we are. We can always do better.
Mm,
Um, Technology is not the enemy.
mm. Technology is a
I know
friend,
right
it's an
now
ally.
we're yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
technology is not the enemy.
Yep. And the second question I'll ask is, when is the best time of the day to write?
For me,
Yes.
it's not even day yet. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and write for 2 hours. So by 6:30, I'm done writing, and then I switch to other stuff, and then 8 o'clock I have breakfast, and then I do more nonfiction, more real world
Yeah.
type work.
Okay. The
Yeah.
next one is, if you had a choice of place to write, would it be always indoor or can sometimes be outdoor?
I'm an indoor writer. I tried doing
Mm.
the writing, like I went to a park, did the try to walk it. Nope. I
Didn't
like
work.
nope.
You want seclusion.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And when you hit a roadblock, what do you do if in the course of writing you're struggling, like, oh my God, it's not flowing? What do you do? Get
I shut it
coffee?
down. Nope. I know if it's not working, I'm not going to force it. I know somebody was like, "Oh, just keep writing, just write gibberish and you'll get it." No, if it's not flowing, and that's happened. I've like I'd be typing in like mid sentence,
Mhm.
it'll stop, and I'll just not know what the next word is, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're done for that for now, and we'll think about it later. And I save it and shut it down.
Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
you go do other things and then come back the next day. What if you're not hit your 2000 word count for that for that day?
Oh no, that's not how that works.
Wait,
Okay,
you
so
have
sometimes that has happened, but then I'll make it up.
okay.
I'll make it up the next day. If I only did like
Okay.
1,800 in a
Mhm,
day, I'm
mhm.
adding an extra 200 to the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the days that you're not part or rum competitions, do you still write 2000 or you only write it when it's NAM?
No, I know. That's my goal every day is to try to write 2,000 words.
Every day, whether it's a Sunday,
Yep.
it's a
Nope. Yeah.
Monday,
Nope.
it's a
Doesn't matter.
national festival, it's a Christmas day, it's a
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, it's a
Nope.
Halloween. You write on Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. This has absolutely been a pleasure to learn from someone who is completely dedicated to the art and the craft of telling stories relentlessly. That's a keyword. 20 books in 10 years is not a joke. But more importantly, you make it easy, you make it comfortable, you make it funny, you make it very interesting for us to interact in this conversation. Rachel, I'm so grateful for this. And
Oh,
I'm
thank
sure
you.
our listeners watching parties from wherever they be, they would enjoy this. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with Michael A. Jacobs. Go check out Blood Devotion that just came out a few days ago.
Hmm.
There's the Blood Saga. I want you to check out part of the Blood Saga. How do we contact you, Rachel?
You can always go on my website, which is michaelajacob.com, or you can email me at info@michaelajacob.com.
Thank you so much, Michael A. Jacob. I appreciate you. We
Yes.
sign off here and the stream, and then okay, and the